Record.
Record,
Okay, excuse me, sorry.
All right, Robert, go ahead.
O'Neill, 53 Washington Avenue. Mr. Mayor and the village board, I'd like to thank Arson Maternal for giving the figures to me for the utility rates for the water and sewer in case Pfizer pulls out. Thank you, Arson.
You're welcome.
That's it. Anybody else? If not, you get a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of the previous meeting, March 5th, March 12th, and March 13th. Board, you all have copies. Is there any additions or deletions?
I move that we accept the regular meeting minutes from March 5th, March 12th, and March 13th, as written.
Second. Moved by trustee Roberts, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Is any discussion?
Yeah, I think on the minutes of the 12th from the budget meeting, there are a couple of figures that just need to be adjusted. Right on the first page, there's that large paragraph at the bottom of the page. Where it says general fund, remove $200 for just his cell phone, that figure should be $480. And about 3 lines up from the bottom, next to where it says water fund, it says remove $1,250 for an external hard drive for backups, that's supposed to be just $250.
Good catch. I looked at these two.
Well, actually, I have to give kudos also to our Sen. He reviewed them, and he asked me this afternoon if I would pass that along.
There you go.
You want to amend your motion?
Yes, sir. I will amend my motion to accept the minutes as revised.
Second. Okay. Any other discussion?
No, thank you, trustee Penfield.
You're welcome.
With that, all those in favor of voting on the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Bills. You all have copies of the bills. Any additions or deletions, sir?
We have, excuse me, we have one addition tonight, the New York Power Authority, in the amount of $88,768.32, a monthly bill.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills tonight as amended.
Second. Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Baker. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to ask one thing about, let's see, on page, on page 2, $620 for 4 tires for the Dodge Durango. I think that goes over the state contract, first of all. And it looks like that money was budgeted in the upcoming budget for 4 tires, so, I don't know, I guess maybe the word didn't get out, but, we weren't gonna really spend anything unless we really needed to, so, I don't think we should pay that bill, I think we should return those tires.
Well, they needed it for the Durango.
So they did.
Yeah, that's why they got it. They had the money in this year's budget, so they went ahead and got it. That way, it's gonna be taken out of this coming budget.
Didn't we just get out of, in trouble for not doing stuff with state contract?
Yes.
State contract price is,
$26 a tire cheaper.
Where'd you get the tires?
ducks.
Well, if they're on the truck, you can't very well return them.
Well, that's the question, are they on?
I assume that they're on. If the
Mike
bill-
told me today
we got
that
the
he
bill.
purchased the tires, but he didn't tell me that they were on, but he told me that they purchased those tires today.
Well, I thought we weren't gonna spend anything.
No, we said we were gonna watch our spending, and if we don't need it, we won't do it, but if we need it, we will. And he has money in the budget, and he needs the tires, so that's why they were purchased.
Well, state contract says $26 less, so it's not a lot of money, it's $100 bucks.
Are we checking every single bill on this list to ensure that it meets state contract pricing?
Well, we're trying to.
Okay.
Before it comes here, I think Arsen usually checks it. So, I mean, I would hope that we would be checking state contracts.
Well, considering the results of the audit, which was prior to the time that I was back on the board, I would agree with you. I think we should be. So, and we shouldn't be necessarily spending more than what is necessary. So,
Exactly.
I don't know, Arsen, do you know, you aware of anything, or?
I have no clue what the price of the tires are
Okay.
for state contract.
Brian, do you have any idea what state contract would be in tires?
They're $126 a piece.
126. So that's 155 a piece, so.
Is that installed or
That's what it
that's
costs.
just?
It costs $4 or $5 a piece.
Is that installed or is that decommissioned?
Well, whatever you wanna do.
Well, I'll find out if they're on the vehicle, if they're on the vehicle.
If they aren't, we'll get them state contract. Okay, that's all I have.
Who made the motion to pay the bills, anybody?
I made the motion. You second?
Okay. You want to amend that motion?
Let's pay every bill but that. I'll amend my motion. Do we check into it? We'll just hold that bill out, we'll pay the rest of the bills, so I'll put that form with that. We'll pay all the bills except that one till trustee Roberts speaks with the chief and finds out we can buy them on state contracts. If they're not on, we won't put them on.
Yep.
But if they're on, then we'll
Yeah,
just.
makes sense.
I believe the vehicle was back in the garage this afternoon, so I believe that they have been installed. So,
That wasn't part of our conversation today, so
well, and I didn't speak,
I'm assuming that they're on, but I can't say 100%.
I know the vehicle's back in the garage, so,
Yeah, it
so
is.
very
in the
likely
garage.
they've been installed. Yep.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion? There being no other discussion, all those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, it's correspondence.
Okay, the first letter I have is to the mayor and the village board. I am informing you that I have scheduled an appointment with New York State Retirement on April 5th, 2012 regarding retirement. I have chosen a retirement date of May 31st, 2012, and that's from Gary Malinsky.
We have to act on that, Carol? I need a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Gary Valinsky with regret.
I'll second it. Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Becker. Any discussion? There's no discussion, all those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
The second item I have is to mayor and village board. I am informing you that I have scheduled an appointment with New York State Retirement on April 5th, 2012 regarding retirement. I have chosen the retirement date of May 25th, 2012, and this is for Mike Riley.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Mike Riley effective May 25th with regret.
Second. Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Baker. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Okay, the next item I have is from Montgomery Hose Hook and Ladder, Mayor and Village Trustees. We wish to inform you of a new member who has been approved to our company for a probationary period of 6 months, Jeffrey Guerin, Washington Avenue. Please act on this member, and we thank you for your time in this matter.
I'll move that we accept Jeffrey Guerin as a member of the fire department.
Second.
Moved by trustee Roberts, seconded by trustee Jefferson. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Just as an FYI, I'm secretary of the fire department, so Just letting the board know that we are at 49 members right now. So this puts us at 49 members out of 60, so our membership is slowly increasing.
Great.
Yeah, good, good.
Okay, the next item I have is I received an email from a Larry Pickren of the United Way of the Adirondack Region asking the village to participate in the Day of Caring, which is an event where volunteers get together and help the community. He had called the Dodge Memorial Library and was told that there is some landscaping. He stated that he had spoke with Brian Pelkey, who agreed. He has a group of volunteers from Pfizer that would like to volunteer to help. The Day of Caring is April 21st, 2012, but the volunteers at Pfizer would like to do it on Friday, April 20th at 2012, and the folks at the library thought that would be a better day anyway, since they are open and the village will have employees on duty as well. Please consider taking advantage of this great opportunity to utilize volunteers to help spruce up the library or any other project you have in mind.
Need a motion, I think. Carol, do we need a motion to accept?
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Kind of hard to turn down free labor, I'll second it.
Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Roberts. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All those opposed? Motion carried.
And I did receive one other, an email this afternoon, to whom it may concern, it's that time of year again, could we please have the nets and windshields installed at the recreation park for the varsity tennis players to use? We would like to have them put up as soon as possible, and we respectfully request use of them Monday through Friday from 3:15 until 5:00 p.m., and this will run through Memorial Day weekend. Thank you in advance for your kindness and continued support of our athletes, and that's from Sarah Hanfield.
Need a motion on that?
Do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we allow, put the nets up for the tennis team.
Second it. Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Baker. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Carol. Report of the mayor and trustees. First thing on the agenda tonight is the corrective action plan. As you know, we had an audit, and we had to come up with a plan to take care of the improprieties, or whatever you want to say that we had. So the plan is written. I don't think I'm gonna read this, you know, it's 6 pages long. But it will be available at the village office if anybody wants to read it. And it's more or less basically on internal control, on how we purchase stuff and what we have to do. This letter has to be signed by me or by the mayor and sent to audit and control. You all have copies of this letter, but like I said, anybody that's interested in it, there will be a copy at the village office. You just give me an ask for it, and they'll give it to you. Next thing on my audit.
Mayor.
I got that on mind, yes.
The board needs to approve that plan, so people you can sign it.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to go ahead with the letter to the state regarding the internal controls on selected financial operations. I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second that.
Moved by trustee Jefferson, seconded by trustee Roberts. Any discussion, board? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. I have a letter here that was given to me today from Gary Malinsky. It's with the retirement of 2 personnel, the chief water plant operator and the water treatment plant operator at the end of May 2012. It is my recommendation that the village advertise and hire 2 people to be trained as the water treatment operator and to obtain a 2A license. It makes more sense to advertise an interview and train two people at the same time rather than spending the time and money to advertise an interview separately. Training new hires could take place at the same time as in the water plant. Training someone to be knowledgeable of all the equipment, procedures, testing, and paperwork, and to operate the water filtration plant proficiently normally takes 6 to 8 weeks. Please keep in mind, there is always a possibility that a new hire may not work out. Either they find out that they don't like it, this type of work, and the shift changes, scheduling and changes, or perhaps they're not able to perform the required duties. Therefore, the replacement personnel should be hired as soon as possible. Please consider the worst-case scenario before you make your decision on whether to hire one operator or two at this time. Recently, for example, 2 weeks ago, Dan was on vacation out of the area. Mike was out of work for his wife. And then Eugene was out of work for doctor's orders. All at the same time. That left the village with just 2 operators out of 5. The water treatment plant operator, Brian, and I had to work 12-hour shifts every day until manpower was restored. In the same scenario occurred, only having 4 operators on staff, what would happen to the water treatment plant and the village? Trusting the village board will make the right decision. Sincerely, Gary Malinsky, Chief Water Plant Operator. That's an issue that's gonna come up later, I think.
But we can talk about it now if you want, George.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me either, so
Yeah.
it's just either one.
Put it up for, put it in the paper, advertise it.
I think we have to. We have to.
We have to
I
decide.
think that
We should have-
one or two, or,
I mean, we need a chief water plant operator, for sure.
absolutely.
And then, if you promote somebody within, then you still gotta backfill to hire that spot, so.
Well, you got a little problem with Chief Water Plant Operator. The fact is, the state requires that he has 10 years' experience.
Yeah. You're gonna have to hire somebody that's.
Well, if you're gonna put him chief, but like Gary says, you can hire somebody and make him lead operator or something like that.
Just can't give them the chief title.
You can't give him the chief title.
What about,
Yeah.
I think
Brian Jeleno, I don't know, he's been on,
they, do you know, George, whether that 10 years has to do with the, a certain certificate that comes from the New York Department of Health?
I really don't, Kelly.
Because I know Carol had printed these off for tonight's meeting, and I know that in 2010, they revised the qualifications for the chief water treatment plant operator. And it says that they need, and maybe this has changed, but it may also be the 10 years might be what you're referring to in the second sentence. 1 year of operating experience at a water treatment plant with a level of complexity equivalent to this plant classification and possession of a current appropriate grade level water treatment plant operator certificate issued by the New York State Department of Health for the designated plant classification. And then it says, if the position involves responsibility for operation and maintenance of the water distribution system, possession of a distribution system operator certificate is required at the time of appointment. So I don't know,
I don't,
something
I
for us
really
to
don't
think
know.
about. Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, it's nothing that, I don't think you have to decide tonight.
Yeah.
I think, but you've gotta start getting your ducks in order so that,
I think we need to decide tonight
well,
whether
but
we're
you're
gonna
gonna hire
hire,
one or
so
two.
we can get
Well, you wanna.
these positions at least out there and get people to start applying for them. I don't think we can wait.
I think I have to agree with you there.
Can I talk now, or you have to wait?
You have to wait, you
Okay.
should.
I'm sorry?
And I said you should.
I should
But wait.
Wait, I'll wait.
So,
Yeah. Till the board gets under discussion, I guess, so, but anyway. It's up to you guys. I mean, what are you gonna do? I think we need to advertise and advertise now, but that's my opinion.
Wholeheartedly agree.
no, I agree with you, you're gonna have to advertise it.
We used to announce jobs and they'd ask her, could be subject to more than one, you know? you announce it as the chief water plant operator. And, then you write in small things that this could be more than one.
Couldn't be more than one position.
Then you only have to pay for the ad once, instead of do it twice.
That makes total sense.
You put the stipulation at the bottom,
There you go.
you know,
Yep.
so then you leave the door open. If you really have to hire two, well, then you hire two. But if you only have to hire one temporary and fill in with per diem, that might be the way to go. Like Mr. Canosa said last week.
You know, I apologize, I was at grand jury, I couldn't make that meeting, but I did read the minutes, and based on what the discussion at that meeting, I think we're stuck in a corner until we go with a go forward plan and start automating that facility, that, I think we're stopped. I mean, like I said, I wasn't at the meeting, but that was my interpretation of what the minutes said, is that they highly recommend / require that it's manned 24/7 until we start automating that facility.
It was quite clear on that. You
Yes.
need somebody on, you can't close it down in the midnight shift.
Right.
You know, when your water safety is very important, I don't wanna, err on the side of caution, the way I want to help. So I
So-
agree with them,
So
and
based on that, I think we don't have a choice but to go out and hire 2 people.
I think you need just to hire, you can't hire a chief, I don't think. First of all, he's not gonna know the operation of the plant. They go out to advertise for 2 water plant operators.
Yeah.
And then,
Move your other man around.
well, I'll tell you what Gary recommended to me, he said if anybody in that water plant, Danny Gay is the one, because he says he knows that plant. He said he was totally amazed how quick he picked up on everything.
That's good.
So that's,
Yeah.
so anyway,
Did anyone give any thought, though, to the idea of hiring one full-time person and then supplementing with the additional operators from the list that they have in the county, or?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about hiring one full-time and maybe get somebody, one of the boys that are retired, and see if they wanna work a few hours a week.
I mean, I don't know that, but there's no guarantee that
No,
these 2 guys will want to, but I don't know, I mean,
well, the other thing you gotta remember, you're talking shift switch.
yeah,
And it's gonna be hard to get people
yeah.
to work
So,
different shifts.
that's true. Yeah.
what do you think, Brian, on this? We need 1 or 2?
The way Mr. Canosa talked the other night, that you need to cover all the shifts. And with the vacations and
Sick
The
leave,
sick
days
time.
off.
Well, thank you. I'll make a motion to put it in the paper for 2 operators.
I'll second it.
For 2 operators?
Right. Yeah, water plant operators.
I will second it.
Don't put them as a chief.
A motion by trustee Becker, seconded by trustee Roberts. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carried. I have, press release. The New York State Power Authority and the New York State Nursery Landscape Association have invited the village of Rouses Point to participate in the 2012 Tree Hour program again this year. The special tree offer lets you buy one and get one free at a reduced cost. Many of tree selections have been matched by the New York Power Authority for free. Again, this year, please make available more, Again, this year, we are pleased to make available more options of larger trees. The cost of the trees is $85. They've gone up, I think, a little bit, for an 1.5-inch diameter tree. It's about 4 to 5 foot. And $170 for a 2.5-inch tree, which is 8 to 10 foot. The deadline for these trees is March 29th, so you don't have much time. If they're out there and you want trees, you gotta get to Carol with your order. I believe we're gonna buy $1,000 worth of village this year.
Not that much.
I know
Brian
that's what
only
you
wants
said.
to order like 5, so we'll get 10.
I don't know, I know,
We're gonna order 5
And
and
you're gonna
receive
get-
5 free,
yeah,
10
10
free
trees.
for this year.
Yep.
So,
All right.
Fill the library lawn.
yeah.
All right, that's it for me, trustee Jefferson.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Rivers. Just a couple items on my agenda tonight. First of all, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the clerk to publish a legal notice to go out to bid for diatomaceous earth for the water plant.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Jefferson, second by trustee Penfield. Any discussion? There be no discussion. All those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries.
Okay, just one other thing, I just want to remind everybody, tomorrow's election day. The polls will be open at noon, and they'll be open till 9 o'clock tomorrow night, so please get out and vote. And that's all I have to report tonight.
Good. Training?
We were gonna talk about the training for the water plant staff from the last meeting.
That's what's written on mine right there.
Yeah.
Because we had postponed it, Brian, you brought this up at the last meeting, but you wanted to
Remember
postpone
Gary
it.
had requested to go to that seminar with.
Well, he's gonna be retired, so he's out.
Did you wanna,
I think we ought to send
Send
somebody to the
someone else,
water
or-
plant.
We see where people fall.
Well, you got, when is that gotta be in? Carol, do you?
I don't have it with me, so.
I have it here.
It's not till May, I don't think. I
Yeah, it's
think.
not till May, but
It's
you
the
gotta
end
have the
of May.
registration in.
May 7th?
Well, you got some time.
The deadline is May 7th.
Okay, so we'll put it out to bid as far as the jobs, and then we can decide like,
I agree.
next meeting. In the meantime, I'll check with the water plant, see if any of those guys wanna go. That's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Jefferson, trustee Baker.
Yes, on last month's meeting, Cheryl was gonna check and see if John Cooper and Ron Baffin, all them had their training.
I did.
Did you?
John is actually good for 2 years, I believe it is, or he has. Did I give you that paper?
No, I didn't see him, just this one.
Well, John attended 3 of the deals down at when they had the training here for the shared services.
Okay.
And Donnie attended all 4.
Okay.
So I believe Donnie has 3 years, and I think John is 2 years. But I know John still would like to go, because, like he says, the more he can learn, because it's something new all the time. He was still, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him, I haven't been able to get in touch with him. So I know they still wanted to go, and Shirley and Tom Baffin and Shirley have not, they need the hours.
If they need the hours.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll make a motion that Tom Baffin and Shirley go.
You don't want, I mean, John still wants to go, it's entirely up to you, but John and Don.
Oh, John and Don too? All right, I'll make a motion that they can go.
I thought there was a concern with the
Oh, yeah, the money.
budget,
Oh, yeah, the budget, that's
Well,
right.
There was only
I was thinking to
$800
take money out of my
available.
zoning,
and there was 1776 total bill.
right.
Did you find the funds? The extra $1,000?
There's money in the zoning training. Carol says we can take it out of there.
Okay.
Now, I will be having to train somebody, because Brad will have to be resigning. Hopefully, everything goes well, I'm sure tomorrow. But he'll be resigning from my zoning board, so they will be replacing them. But by the time that comes around, the training, you can take it out of the new budget. I believe we put money in the new budget for training and stuff.
And that was my only question, I think, of all this, was it budgeted? Sounds like it is, so. Yeah, I think it's important that those guys maintain their proper training.
I mean, like I said, I haven't talked to John in a couple weeks, so hopefully, I'll talk to him, I'll still try to get in touch with him, but
If he took them all, I don't see much sense for him going.
it's entirely up to you people. Entirely up to you.
Well, we can send 2 or send 4, so. you know?
Or three, which is, who's John is the chairperson.
Yeah.
Don's got his hours, and we could send three.
Yeah,
Doug
good.
Cooper,
Yeah.
Shirley, Paul, and,
Couple, sure,
Tom.
all, yeah, and Beth. How we do it that way, send the three of them.
it's a compromise.
I mean, John is the chairperson.
He is the chair, right?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So you want to amend it?
Yeah. I'll amend the first one.
So, to have three? Is that you're amending it to, Bumper?
Yep,
Okay.
Yeah.
John,
Yeah, I
Tom, and Shirley.
And do we have sufficient funds for three people to go?
Yeah, we do.
We do,
Yeah.
okay.
You won't say so.
The only thing is that if they don't drive together, I believe it was said at the last meeting that we will pay for one driver, one vehicle, and
I
that's
thought they were
it.
gonna take the village.
Yeah.
Why don't
They
they take
can't.
the village car?
Because they can't.
Why?
Because they're not employees of the village. You have to be an employee to be able to drive
I
a
think you
vehicle.
better check with Lamarge Agency, they are considered,
Yes, yeah, I thought.
they are
I don't
considered
think
as,
that.
as members of a committee, they are considered. I'll call,
We discussed it today, Jerry and I, but I'll
I
check
will
again.
call tomorrow.
Okay.
Yours is ready.
I think they're under the umbrella.
We'll package this.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not covered under insurance, then I would say we'd only gonna pay for one vehicle to go down there.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not gonna reimburse three people. Makes sense.
All right, got a motion made and seconded, same three people, any other discussion? There being no other discussion, all those in favor, vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
Who seconded that?
I don't know.
Pick
Who
one.
seconded it?
I will. I don't know. I'll volunteer.
I get a little confused here.
That's all I have tonight.
Thank you, trustee Baker. Trustee Roberts.
Yeah, first thing I'd like to do is announce that the annual Children's Egg Hunt will be held Saturday, March 31st at 10 a.m. at the Civic Center. That's an event sponsored by the Dodge Memorial Library. Speaking of library, I want to report that the basement is still dry. Thank you, Brian Pelkey. So far, so good. I think those renovations are really going to do us good. I also want to let you know that Donna attended an arts grant ceremony last month where we received a check for $2,000. That's for programs for the library. And there's also a program entitled Take a Bite Out of Books. That's getting underway at the library where we have 27 students ages, grades 5 through 7 that signed up. And we'll have at least 2 teams representing our library, and that's on June 30th. So that's the library update. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Country Living Entertainment, Larry Eberry request. He had requested that we allow him to use the stage on August 7th. I talked to the chairperson of the stage committee, and I believe, I mean, my thought is anybody who wants to use the stage should go through the committee. That's what we have the committee for, to make those types of decisions. So I'm gonna refer this to the stage committee, and if they want to support it, then we'll support it. If not, then it won't happen. The real issue with this is it's 8 to 10 on a Tuesday night. You know, we're trying, anything that we have during the week, we're trying to get it done, you know, reasonable hour, and I think 10 o'clock, as well as the committee, it's kind of pushing our luck, I think, as far as, you know, music and whatnot. So I'm basically gonna leave that decision up to the stage committee. That's what they volunteer for, and that's what they have all the years fundraising for. You guys, I don't know if you agree or
I
don't
agree.
agree. But
At 10 o'clock, pretty late, when people don't want to stay out.
Right.
The older folks don't want to stay out that late.
Well, and you have homes over here too, Bumper.
That's
You know,
the-
people
that's the
getting up for
concern.
work the next day that.
That's the
To me,
concern.
that's an issue.
So I'll let the stage committee work that out. The next thing I'd like to do is report that our 4th of July committee has again changed the plans. And we are back to a 3-day celebration, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. As you all know, we took $7,000 out of their budget. So they're working diligently to try and streamline what is being offered, but they are going to go with a 3-day event. So we believe the fire department will sponsor the barbecue on Sunday, the parade will be on Sunday, car show on Sunday. Basically, it will be a mirror of last year's festival. However, with that being said, with that $7,000 being taken out of their budget, they're evaluating the bigger expenses such as the fireworks and the entertainment that we hire from Montreal. You know, the fireworks, not sure we're getting a full bang for our buck, pun intended. So there's the 4th of July update. And the other thing I want to do is just give some stats from our police department. It's that time of year to get our annual stats. So tickets issued was 386. Fines received from tickets issued was $34,340. Persons arrested is 39. Complaints that require written reports, 289. Motor vehicle accidents, 20. Parking tickets, 31. And background investigations requiring responses is 228. I also want to mention, over the past few years, our police department has secured $253,927 in Stone Garden grants, and that's for equipment and patrol hours and additional coverage. These grants were as a direct result of Mr. Bingo being proactive and applying for grants and utilizing his contacts with New York State Police. So all I want to say is, so contrary to some residents' belief, our police department is very active and I believe quite successful. So the last thing that I want to say is, I just want to thank Mayor Rivers for all his hard work. I know this is your last meeting. I'd like to thank you for your hard work and dedication to our village over the past 15 plus years. I think your heart has always been in the right place, and you've always wanted to do what you felt was best for the village. So I think you represented us well, and for that I thank you and hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, trustee.
And that's all I have to report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Penfield.
The first item that I had on my agenda, we've already taken care of in terms of the discussion on the water plant, but Arsene did pass along to me something that he had mentioned, I believe, last time when we had our executive session regarding the water plant staffing. There is a training announcement that the New York State Department of Health Bureau of Water Supply Protection informs us that our staff may be eligible to attend an operator certification training course free of charge. And this program is designed to provide free classroom-based initial certification training to operators that are employed at community water systems that serve a population of 3,300 or less. And so I would suggest that I pass this along, make sure Carol has a copy, I know Arsene has a copy. Something that I think that we should definitely look into as we're filling those positions. It certainly could come in handy. It sounds like it's exactly suited to villages the size of Rouses Point. And I think it's something that going forward should be investigated. So the operators, in order to participate in the program, must already be employed at a small system. So it's certainly something that once we have new people on board, I think should be taken into consideration. So it's just something for you to keep in mind.
It doesn't say Orange being held.
It does not. It does give you, just gives you a place where you can investigate, what.
Because I'm sure the course will be free, but there will be expenses.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Bills and that stuff.
Depending upon where it is, George.
Yeah, that's why I'd asked.
Well, it's something I think to investigate. I mean, we may end up advertising and getting 2 operators that are already trained. We may not even need to look at that, but you just don't know. So, anyway. And the second item that I have at this point is the completion of our workplace violence prevention policy and incident reporting system. As you know, the Department of Labor visited the village last August, and they came back with a follow-up consultation in November, at which point they prepared a report for us of things that we needed to attend to, and policies and procedures that needed to be in place. So we passed an initial statement and intent for our policy. Oh gosh, let's go back and look at the date, but.
December 5th.
December? Yep, in December, thanks Carol. And now this is the follow-up, this is the actual policy that we have to put in place. And Carol and I, working together, took the forms that are needed to go to the employees for their assessment of risks that they might find in the workplace, and also to the department heads for the assessment of risks of the buildings or the areas that they work in. And so they all went out, they're in the process of being returned. Once they are returned, it's gonna be really incumbent upon this board to look at the responses that we get and to attend to anything that we feel needs attending to. I think the department heads may be able to take care of many issues on their own, to minimize risk, but just something to be aware of, that once we have notification from our employees, we can't just leave that and not do anything with it. So it probably will be during the month of April and probably May, I would guess, potentially the 2-month period, that someone will need to actually take a look at those and see what the board decides to do. In any event, I would make a motion that we pass this policy. I believe everyone got a copy in their mailbox. And that way it's one of the things on the list that we can report to the Department of Labor that we have finished.
And I will second that.
Moved by trustee Penfield, seconded by trustee Roberts. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
And the last item that I have would be to echo the sentiments of trustee Roberts and to thank George for his years of service to the village. Whether you have always agreed with him or not on the issues, I do believe that he has had the best interests of the village in mind, and for anyone to dedicate that many years of their life to public service, I think he deserves a huge thank you from all of the residents of Rouses Point and from the people that he's worked with throughout New York State. He's done an awful lot for the village to get our name out there, and I think in many ways it will show hopefully for a long, long time. And also on a personal note, George, I'd like to thank you for reappointing me to the board last year under sad circumstances, but I've enjoyed the 9 months that I've spent here again, and I wish George a happy retirement, and the new members of the board certainly the best of luck and hopefully lots of goodwill to accomplish what's going to be ultimately good for the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, trustee Penfield. Carol?
Well, first of all, I have a present for all of you. The budget officer presented me today with the budget, the tentative budget, and by law, Village Law 55082, I have to present it to you prior to.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you got it.
Carol?
Thank you. And George, thank you.
What's the final tax rate? Arts in.
The same as last year, 428.
Thank you. You guys have fun with that. Arsen, is that it, Carol?
That's it.
I don't have anything.
Thank you. Brian?
You'll see the dust clouds out there. We're starting to pick up the sand on the streets, so it's spring cleaning time. Keep your windows closed. As you come home to a dusty house, I mean, we're trying to work and keep the dust down to a minimum, but it happens. So be careful. You guys are out there working on the roads. That's it.
I figured you'd give a little report on Pratt Street, where we stand. I think we need to know that.
Where we stand on Pratt Street, I met with the state engineers last week. They had a few questions that we're working with Earth Science Engineering. The problem that we're having is we're trying to set up a meeting with the Champlain Telephone Company. It seems that they're not on board with us. Budget issues, financial issues, I guess, of supplying us with pipe or even working with us on the project. So we tried to schedule a meeting. I've made several calls, George has, and they're just not getting back to us. So I don't know what direction to go in. I mean,
How about if we go and schedule a meeting with Trent Triana or Steve Southwood and go up and see if we can try to work this out?
I tried to do that with Steve Pinto.
Steve Pinto.
Yeah, he's the engineer
He's
for,
the head guy up.
and he just told me he's working on numbers. That's what Trent Triana told him to do. So,
They were supposed to get back to us today. We have not heard nothing.
I know they're working down in Glens Falls, they're pretty stretched out. I don't know if there's lack of manpower, lack of funds, I don't know. But I would like to at least get 2 of the board members and try to set up an official meeting with them. Say, you know, the board would like to meet with you, you know, even if we had to go up there, meet with Trent Trayon and Steve Pinto. To at least get an answer one way or the other. Then we need to decide if we're gonna go forward and funding the project ourselves. I estimated just the cost on the additional conduits is almost between $15,000 and $20,000 additional cost.
Now I give you my opinion. Those Champlain Tel has known this for the last 3 years. We paid for putting all the pipes underneath the railroad track. How much? 140?
It was almost $120,000 for boring underneath the tracks.
We've done all that. They've known that. They have not communicated with us at all. I mean, it was sort of abrupt what they said. When I sent them a letter asking them to set up a meeting or to meet with Brian and set up what we can do, you know, to get this project moving. If they don't, and we don't put the pipe in, are we gonna dig that street twice? I don't think so. I don't think state of New York would even want it. And my point is that this should go. We've been 3 years at this project. We've been 1 year on Church Street in Upper State and did the whole thing, and they still have not removed their wires. There's, I think, 3 streets in the village, they have not removed their wires. Poles are still standing, and we can't put up street lights because of what's there. Residents complain and keep asking, when are the poles coming out? And I tell them, call the phone company, it's got nothing to do with us.
Maybe that's the way to do it, have the people, have the ratepayers put the heat on it. Now, everybody in this room call a telephone company and complain. I think I mean, I don't wanna turn them into the Public Service Commission only at the last resort. Because if you do that, you open a can of worms, you're gonna get a lawyer involved, it's gonna cost the village a lot of money. It's not the way to do business. It's better to try to work a deal and try to get along with them. If we make a 2-3 more day effort and we can't do it, then we can put the heat on, we'll turn the heat up a little bit if we have to. I don't like to operate like that. I just don't think it's the way we should conduct business with the Champlain Telephone Company. We do a lot of business with the telephone company, and it's better to get along if we can.
Well, I think we wanna get along, but I don't think they do. And anyway, I did contact the Public Service Commission.
Okay? Yep.
And I talked to a gentleman that, the name was given to me by Kevin Brox, the attorney for the municipal electric. I talked to him, I told him, I said, look, I'm only looking for direction here. I'm not, you know. And he said, I'll check with our attorneys. He said, but you're not alone. This happens all too often with municipal electrics. He said, we've been into this before. So if you're ready, when you get ready to go, I got the guy's name, you give him a call, I go, I'm not gonna be around. I just think it's disheartening to think that we're down to where we can see daylight at the end of the tunnel, 2 streets left, and this is what's happening. Anyway, enough said, that's it. All right, open the meeting to the public this time. Anybody wish to address the board? Yes, Bill?
Bill Masco, 27 Chapman. First of all, I'd like to apologize to you, Mr. Mayor and trustees, for trying to jump in on your discussion. Couldn't get my powder dry there. Actually, trustee Penfield and trustee Jefferson answered most of my questions. I just have one other one. Have we looked around the village for people who were certified before to run a water plant, who are now retired, that maybe would like to work part-time, on a part-time basis or call-in or something like that?
Or per diem maybe, like Mr. Canosa said.
I don't think so. We only got a couple that I know of. And they are working for the village now, and one of them definitely does not want to work in a water plant.
Oh, well, that was my question, just if we had looked around for our assets within the village to see if anybody was willing to pitch in for, until we get the thing straightened out with full-time, whatever we need. I think we should look at our assets.
Yeah, sometimes you do in your own backyards.
But they still have the certification.
That was it, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Dave, super on.
Anybody else?
Yeah. George, to answer your question, there's two agencies that service this village that is in trouble. And that's the telephone company and the post office. And the post office do it because no one mails anymore, they're all emails. And then the telephone, is my family have all these iPhones, they drive me nuts with them things. But they have all they have all the information in them iPhones. It's unbelievable. I wanted to know the score of the hockey game when I was in Westport, Connecticut over the weekend. My son gets up there, they lost 3-2. You know, so that's why the telephone company, I think, they're looking for funds.
Well, there's other issues, Robert.
Huh?
There's other issues besides that.
Oh, I'm just saying.
They're doing a tremendous amount of work in Glens Falls, putting in fiber optics.
Oh,
And this part is, all the people are being taken from here, shipped down there.
my second question is the status of the railroad station.
It's ready to go out to bid.
How much money did you get? How much money has been spent? And
I don't have that in front of me, Bob. I don't have that in front of me.
Well, Melissa sent that to us
Yeah.
just
We
yesterday,
are,
today.
if it
I
goes the way it is, we're gonna be golden.
Yeah.
Yep.
The income was just a little bit higher than what the anticipated expenditures were gonna be. And I don't remember, I didn't print it out, Bob, I'm sorry.
this has been going on for 3 years.
3,
Well, oh,
10 years.
well, I mean, the funds, you know, any funds we got 3 years ago. Right?
Yeah, it's stimulus money, yeah.
All right. I just wanna know the status. How much money has been spent so far?
I can't tell you.
Well, there was a close to.
All engineering
800,000.
fees,
Yeah, it was
all
close.
of it engineering fees.
I don't know what the original number was, but it was close to 800,000 this morning when I looked at Melissa's report.
Spent?
No, remaining.
Remaining.
I thought it was about 160 that had been spent so far. I may be high though, Bob, but
That engineering is something else.
so, it is.
What are you gonna do? State of New York is dictating.
Yeah.
We'll get those figures for you, Bob.
Anybody else? If not, oh,
I do.
you can go ahead, Jerry.
I have 4 kids. I only came in with 1, but now I have 4. I have a tree in the front of my house. I talked to you about it. It's on village property that we think has got an issue. And I'm assuming it's probably gonna come down this year. I'd like to request one of those new trees to replace it, that the village will be purchasing. Secondly, last year, because we changed the 4th of July again, and we probably will, I'm assuming we're probably gonna get the vendors and stuff that we had in the past, we'll come back because it's gonna be 2 days. I had requested last year, after the 4th of July, about putting an electrical panel towards the corner of the tennis courts, so that the vendors that set up on this side don't have to, the
Right.
cords don't have to go across the walkway.
I remember
And
that
it would make it
request.
easier to be able to spread them out a little bit more than having them all in one area. And I think part of that request might have been something about that ditch. I don't know if it should be widened a little bit, because there's a lot of trucks and stuff that are going across it. I guess what I'd like to do is request somebody take a look at it and see if it needs some attention. And the third thing, you reminded me when you mentioned the library, the Historical Society puts in a grant for the Council of the Arts. We do that every year for entertainment on our stage. And this year we got $1,000. It's quite a bit less than what we got last year, but they have a lot of requests. And they don't have a lot of money. Their funds were cut also. So we're always very glad to get whatever we have, and we work with it, and think the village has some money in their budget for entertainment on the stage, and we've asked stewards, to kind of help us out, and Pfizer always helps us every year with one of our programs. So, and we're working on that, so we've just about got our schedule done for the summer. And the fourth thing on my list is I would really, really like to thank George for his 14 years of service to this community, and for everything that he has done to support all of the programs, the volunteer work that I've done for the village, whether it be the Historical Society or the stage or the 4th of July, anything. Every time I ask him for something, he's right there, he always helps me, he comes, and I really, really appreciate that. And everything that he's taught me about Rouses Point, I'll say to him, George, where was this, or what is this about? And he'll tell me about the history of the village. And I'm really gonna miss that, except that maybe Peggy would let me have coffee with him once in a while, so we can still
If you're
talk
buying.
about.
I'm sure she'll welcome it.
And we can still talk about the history of the Rouses Point.
Did you hear what I said? I took lessons from Red Wilder. You're gonna be buying it.
George, I'll buy. And I'd also like to thank Kelly and Bumper for their service to the village as trustees, and, you know, it's not an easy job, sometimes it's a thankless job that everybody tries to do, including myself and my volunteer work. I try to do the best I can for the good of the village, so. That's Jerry.
Thank you, Terry. I have a few comments. 16 years is a long time. And I personally want to thank the voters of this village for having confidence in me for the last 16 years. And thank them for the honor they've bestowed on me as being your mayor for the last 14. I want to thank Kelly Penfield and Dennis Roberts for stepping up to the plate and filling a couple of vacancies. They certainly appreciated it. Special thanks to Arsen, Carol, and Jerry Farrell in the office. Whoever steps in that office, you better be kind to them too, because they keep you straight. The water department under Gary Malinsky, can't say enough. Never had a minute's trouble with that group. Sewer department under Tommy Reed, same thing. They run a good ship, they're good people. Public works personnel. The best thing we did a couple of years ago was to promote Junior. And we got a good public works department. The police department under Mike Bingle. You have no idea of what goes on until you're there. Civic Center. Mike told me this morning he's pretty close to over $100,000 in ice cream this year. Now that's impressive. And that's not tax money. It doesn't, it's sold out of that account. Arsen could tell you, but that's all right. The library. The board of directors and the librarian, the advances they have made in the last couple of years, astronomical. Can't say enough about those people. And that young lady, what she has done. Historian, Donna, you just have to go upstairs, right, and you'll understand. The beautification committee, these people, absolutely all volunteers. They make those nice little gardens out there look nice with flowers. They keep them up all year round, and they don't get